Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening to this. We're back. We did have a week off, and you reckon that might have upset the apple cart just a little bit, Titus. But we are back with the Variety Hour podcast. I'm Sergio Paradise, and here is the man who recently stole Miley Cyrus from Liam Hemsworth. It's Titus O'Reilly.
I told you that in full confidence.
Well, your cover's blown now.
those guys...
Titus and Miley, it's got a ring to it.
Oh, it sure does.
Yeah. Midas.
Those guys, I'd known so little about them, but I still know that they break up all the time.
Yeah.
So when I heard it, I was like, they'll be back together.
Well, I heard it the other day. I thought, hey, hang on, hasn't he just built this magnificent...
That's his brother,
That's his brother in Byron Bay. Yeah. That's Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
He's married to another...
Well, actually, I got a great Chris Hemsworth story.
Yeah, we'll go ahead.
Well, I should apologise. It was my fault we missed, because when I was up in Canberra, a few people said, is Serge sick again? I said, no, in fairness to Serge, I have to apologise for not doing last week, because I actually finished my book last week.
Right.
So I've written it all and stuff, and it's off to the editors and everything. And so... I've been a bit flaky on the last few weeks because I've been right on deadline.
Yeah.
I haven't done the highly unhelpful guides, and people...
That's right. You're caught a bit of flack.
A bit?
Yeah.
No. Well, I appreciate copying flack because it'd be a lot worse if you didn't do it and no one cared.
Well, that's right.
Which is what most things
I was thinking just yesterday, I was thinking, we asked for questions for this podcast, and half the questions were just having a crack at us because we didn't do a podcast last week.
I've got to say, it is fair that people give us a...
we
cop it on the chin.
Yeah, well, unreliability is our middle name.
Well, anyway, that's why I've just had to get the book done, but the book's all done now. So now we're back on track. I've got no excuse for missing it. But researching when I write a book, this is getting to the Chris Hemsworth story.
Yeah.
When I write a book, the big component is doing research, right?
Yeah, of course.
I do all the research myself, and so you wade through. So the latest book, which is called Please, it's not out till November, or started November. Please Gamble Irresponsibly.
Yes.
It's history of sports betting, right? So all through it, I'm going and reading like Royal Commission reports from the 30s, like government policy reports.
How they looked at it back then.
But you're going to the legislation, so it's dry, right? But every now and then, in all the research you do, the reason you read so much is you find little pieces
nuggets,
that go that is hilarious, right? And there's lots of little ones in all of this, right? So there's a couple of favourite ones which I don't want to spoil the whole book, but a perfect example, right, is in one of the Royal Commission reports into gambling, into the SP bookies, basically, illegal off-course.
So this
bookies.
is going back a fair while.
This is
SP
in 58
bookies.
In Victoria.
Okay.
This is the one. There was a Royal Commission in 1958 in Victoria into illegal gambling, because any gambling away from the racecourse was illegal.
That's
which
right.
is why they had the SP bookies everywhere. Everyone still did it. They did it illegally. And this was the Royal Commission that said the government should create a totaliser agency board, the TABs. TABs. Right. So that was the Royal Commission. But there's a moment in the stand where they indemnified a few SP bookies to come and testify about the size of their businesses and all this sort of stuff, so they could get a handle on what was going on. So one of the Royal Commissioners, the Royal Commissioner at one point is summing up some stuff, and he says, it seems to me that on a race day in Victoria, every single pub has an SP bookie in it.
Yeah.
Right? And these two SP bookies go, well, that's a bit of hyperbole, Your Honour. There are some that don't. And he said, are there many? And they said, well, here's two we can think of right away that never has an SP bookie in it. And the Royal Commission said, oh, okay. So the police straight away left to check and found, of course, gambling occurring wide open in those two places. So even the two bits the Crims think there's no gambling going on had gambling in it. But the bit I found that was my favourite bit of research, which is about Chris Hemsworth, is Tom Waterhouse in 2013 was the guy that on this sports wagering went from people kind of going, oh, there's a bit around stuff to we hate it.
Yeah.
But they really just also hated Tom Waterhouse.
Yeah. Because there was that
everywhere.
Time there. He was
everywhere,
all over your TVs, every ad.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Tom Waterhouse, I'm researching Tom Waterhouse and, because he's such a pivotal figure in all of this. And I'd forgotten or never knew because I don't pay a lot of attention. In 2010 he started his betting agency, online one. 2013 is when he got in all that trouble with being on the NRL and all that and actually stepped back. In 2006, before he was even, he was just the son of Gay Waterhouse and Robbie Waterhouse. He went on Dancing with the Stars.
Did he?
Yeah. Can you?
How did he get on there?
Well, just because before he was a local bookmaker in Sydney.
Yeah,
quite a big one, but not an online bookie, and so no one knew who he was. So he went on
Sydney racing identity. That's right. Yeah.
So he went on, and Kerry Armstrong was on it, and actually. Kuda Feedy's actually won.
Oh yeah, Kuda,
that year. Yeah. So he was the winner. Showing his popularity with the audience, Tom got voted off second.
Right.
The person before him was a woman who got voted off 1 week before him. Was the first voted off, was who he was only slightly more popular than, was Fiona Faulkner, who was a finalist. Who was a finalist on The Biggest Loser. So she wasn't even the winner of The Biggest Loser.
So she is the biggest loser.
She was the biggest loser on Dancing with the Stars. Now the other person that was on Dancing with the Stars in 2006 was a young home and away actor by the name of Chris Hemsworth.
Ah, right.
So Tom Waterhouse and Chris Hemsworth, Tom thought he'd struck up a bit of friendship with Chris during the filming.
Right.
So anyway, fast forward to 2013 when the world all hates Tom Waterhouse.
Yeah.
And Tom Waterhouse is sitting back and watches Thor.
Yeah.
And thinks, this is amazing. You know, the guy who Dancing with the Stars hasn't he kicked on? I've kicked on. I own my own big online betting company. Yeah. So he sends him a text and goes, mate, just watch Thor. You're absolutely terrific in it. Who can believe we've both got to where we've got, sort of thing. Yeah. He gets back a message. I don't know who you think this is, but please delete this number. So even Thor hates Tom Waterhouse.
Even Thor wouldn't place a bet with him.
So anyway, so thank you everyone for their patience because
we're back.
We are back. I've been working, but we are back. And I went up to Canberra on the weekend, so we might talk about that when we get to the fact that some people might not have heard, but it snowed in Canberra.
It did snow in Canberra.
We have to start off with a few bad performances on the weekend.
There were some shockers. And just while we're talking the polar blast.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw the photo on Twitter that my basketball ring at home went straight through the
that's right.
The windscreen of my car.
There's a photo on your Twitter account.
Yeah.
If people want to look at it.
And I'd just like to thank all the people on Twitter who suggested that my car must have a basketball background. And there was plenty of driving to the basket jokes too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why did it fall over?
It fell over because I told my two idiot sons just a week ago to make sure that the base was full of water so it didn't fall over in heavy winds. Now, of course, they didn't fill it up and we got 100-kilometre-hour winds Friday morning. Bang, straight through the windscreen.
And it cost you a pretty penny.
Well, I did find out that the excess was greater. The insurance excess was greater than the cost of getting a new.
Isn't insurance great?
Yeah, it's fantastic, you know.
That's a fair few buckets of Coronas to get a new windscreen.
It is.
We should mention also, just while we're meandering all over the place at the start, we've got our live podcast in Melbourne coming up. The Comics
Sunday
Lounge.
week.
And what's the date?
Sunday the 25th of August.
At 2 p.m.
Yeah, Sunday afternoon matinee. And get along to the Comics Lounge in North Melbourne. You can book tickets now at frontiercomedy.com.
And I'll put the link in the show notes. So we'd love to see people come down.
Absolutely. And, we're talking maybe having a special guest, a couple of people. And
we're even going to put some work into it.
Well, yeah, we are going to bit of production.
A bit of razzmatazz.
well, at least we might have a cassette of the theme music at the start.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to have a Gatorade Games Changer where one of us has to make funnier jokes for 10 minutes.
And I am going to work the phones and see if I can get my hands on a T-shirt cannon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because we've been seeing them popping up despite that they're meant to be illegal.
They're supposed to be illegal in Victoria, but just about every sporting club's got one.
It's weird. We should mention, hopefully we have a better show than these guys. Essendon on the weekend. Oh. Did you watch this?
Well, yeah, I saw I flicked it over and saw it was 10 goals to 1. I thought, geez, Bulldogs absolutely pumping them. So I'll watch this. And then
I like that. So I'll watch this.
So I'll watch this. And then they kicked another 11 before.
It was 21 goals
in
without
a row.
response.
It was unbelievable. I've never seen, until the Melbourne game a bit later, a team just give it up as badly as Essendon were. They were woeful.
21 goals in a row.
It's inexcusable.
What was it,
It's inexcusable
3 minutes or something
in junior football, let alone at
junior football. You disown your kids
at the elite level.
That.
Yeah, I mean, at AFL level, it's just. And old Johnny Worsfold looked like he didn't know what was going on either.
I mean,
he didn't even give him a blast.
I don't even know if you can blame the coach for that. I mean,
no, I reckon that's squarely at the foot of the players.
Because they literally just gave up.
Yeah, they just and you know what it's like when things start going that bad, the ball seems to start bouncing the wrong way. You go to take a chest mark and it bounces out of your hands and just everything goes wrong.
Is it possible the Bulldogs are just amazingly good?
Not that good. They were terrific, but
they were. But it was a bit like pushing. It seemed a bit like pushing on an open door.
Oh, it was. I mean, it was like a Oz kick game.
I found it funny how I was watching it and my phone just kept lighting up with people just sharing going, I hope you're watching this.
Yeah, I know.
The joy people seem to feel in watching Essendon get pumped.
And it used to be people were like that with Collingwood, and they still are to a certain degree. But Essendon has certainly taken over, I reckon, as the most hated club.
Do you reckon they have? I was thinking about this the other day. I reckon the whole drug scandal.
Yeah.
Really see, and the reaction of not all the fans, but there was that hardcore group of fans that were like, "Stand by Herd, we've done nothing wrong."
Yeah.
That it just set up. There was a very us against them mentality. And,
there was,
and so it sort of seems people kind of were a bit happy that it's happened.
It was the us against them, but the them are getting pretty brutal now.
Oh yeah,
and so it was great to see.
It was absolutely. We got lots of questions on this. Salman wrote in, as a Bomber supporter, I long for the glory days of the drug scandal. It is a worry when that was seen.
Yeah, that was your high point of the last 5 years.
Well, I think they've only ever won the only time they've ever won finals, and I'm happy to be corrected if I'm wrong, is under Sheedy.
Yeah, it's a fair while ago
in their history.
Is that right?
Yeah, someone tweeted a thing about it the other day. I can't remember who it was.
Hang on, they've only won finals.
The only time they've ever won finals is under Sheedy.
Well, no, they won premierships before that, though, before Sheedy got there.
I don't think they did.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah, someone tweeted this out the other day. I have to go double check. I was shocked by the stat. The stat.
No, they won the 65 premiership, Essendon, I'm sure.
You're probably right. I'm trying to look. Or maybe it was over a certain period.
Yeah. Because I thought Dick Reynolds coached them to a couple of premierships back in the early days.
Maybe it was in the AFL.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, let me have a look. I should really have prepared this a lot better, shouldn't I? Before I go making wild statements. But it wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't make wild, unsubstantiated statements.
Well, it's good that you made a wild, unsubstantiated statement, which I can then correct. But again, I correct with no confidence whatsoever.
This sums up our entire podcast. I'll see if I can find. I'm trying to remember who sent it out. Anyway, I'll find it and we'll update people at some time. Luckily, the internet will tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah. For all the people who wanted us back,
you're now
bad
going, what are we doing? Yeah. Here it is. Oh, no, it's from 19... So this is... Joshua Kay tweeted this out. Finals won based on 1969 to 2018. So It's not their whole history. That's where I got confused.
Yeah.
So since 1969, the only time they've ever
won a
final is under Sheedy.
Right.
They won 3 in 83. They won... In 84, they won 2 and the premiership.
Yeah.
85, they won 2 and the premiership. They won 1 in 1989, 1 in 90... 3 in 93 and the premiership, 3 in 2000 and the premiership.
Yeah, they were good size.
2 in 01, 1 in 02, 1 in 03, 1 in 04, and then nothing since. None under anyone other than Kevin Sheedy. That's pretty amazing.
That is pretty amazing.
But I didn't realise he'd put in since 1969.
And who have they had coached since then? Herd, Bomber Thompson.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bomber Thompson didn't coach. But
and now Johnny Worsfold.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, anyway... Not going well there, Essendon. Cal wrote in, can the Bombers blame the dismal weather conditions in Marvel Stadium for their poor kicking? Redacted wrote, "Can you name your favourite 21 goals in a row against Essendon?" There's a certain joy.
There is. There's a certain kick them while they're down mentality.
Well, it's much easier to kick someone while they're down.
I've always said
it's very hard to kick up.
Always said, if you can't
bad for your hamstrings.
If you can't kick someone when they're down, when can you kick them?
Josh. Well, this is someone on their Facebook account. This is Josh Friend and Julie Leslie. It seems like they have a combined Facebook account, which is
that's a bit scary.
I hope they're someone's grandparents, if that's the case. Has the AFL taken the mini legends concept too far by fielding a team full of them for Essendon on Saturday night?
Maybe that was the problem.
That would explain.
They got a bunch of 8-year-olds dressed in Bombers jumpers.
It did look like they were doing an impersonation. I mean, this is a bit like, when Australia have collapsed every now and then for 56 or something.
Yeah.
And this is a bit like this with Essendon. It's a disgraceful performance, I always say, when you could have randomly picked people from the crowd to kick 21 goals straight against. It wouldn't have made a difference. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's just unbelievable. Chris wrote in, "Are Essendon playing in Perth this weekend just so they can drop Woosha off home?"
Yeah. They just drop him in Perth, leave him there and say, round 23, we'll just coach ourselves. We'll be fine without you.
It is weird how they, he was dead man walking about a quarter of the way into the season. He got to that point.
Yeah.
Then they've clawed their way all the way back.
They won a few in a row, and he was, the saviour.
And now it's all over. I mean, you have to wonder: is he a bad coach, or is this a fairly rubbish team that he's actually getting a fair bit out of?
Well, exactly. Maybe it is that. I mean, and then you know how bad they're going when all Essendon former greats reckon the fact that Fantasia and Guelphy have peroxided their hair indicates that there is something going on at Essendon.
Oh, yeah, nothing more than that. I think they got bigger problems.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a fair few injuries.
Oh, but every club by round 20.
Yeah, but no injuries explains 21 goals straight, does it?
No, exactly.
Tony Wilson, Tony's a sports writer and
he's a media commentator and
Speakola, which is a great website featuring various things, and friend of the show, I'd like to say. He wrote, "Can I get a CD of the Essendon callers after the game on SEN?"
Oh, wouldn't that have been good?
Isn't there? There's something incredibly fun. I like listening both. I love footy talkback.
Yes,
and I love it both after a loss, even if it's my own side.
Yeah,
just the anger and the fury. There's something primal about it.
I always think, how brutally are you hurting that you get in the car or you're at home again, I'm going to ring the radio station and give them a piece of my mind. It's going to make any difference to the actual club.
And there's always I just love that. There's something always funny about someone getting way over the top angry.
Yeah.
It's like when your brother or sister used to get angry at you as a kid. You just cannot help but laugh. It's just too funny. Just the losing control. That would have been... Actually, Adelaide radio is great for this.
Yeah, I could have... Yeah, it would be. I mean, and the other thing, the other indication of that is after a shocking loss, and this could be any club, when you're walking out of the MCG and you see a few scarves hanging out of bins. That's always it. I remember a few years ago when Richmond were crap, not that long ago, they got belted by somebody, and somebody dumped half a ton of horse manure right outside the Punt Road Oval. It was, and I remember thinking at the time, who would go to that much trouble and expense to say the team shit? So you have some.
But it's how often have you thought you are really angry after a loss? Yeah. And you think of all the things you like to say or do. You don't do anything. No,
you think of this, but you just can't be bothered. Who can be bothered,
Now, the thing I'm most surprised about is North Melbourne kicked one solitary goal.
That's right.
And still didn't get worst performance of the round. Which is kind of amazing.
Well,
Essendon kicked 3 more goals than North.
Yeah. Who actually kicked North's solitary goal?
I can't even remember.
No.
Daz Jacks wrote in, did North get a Goal of the Week nomination?
They should have.
I tell you what, they were. That was just Geelong just strangled them.
Yeah, and again, now the acid's gone back on North to say, did they sign up Rhys Shaw too quickly? Now, whether they have or they haven't, that we'll find that out in due course. Yeah. But I got to admit, I was a bit surprised last week that they gave him the job. Well, they couldn't wait another 3 weeks and do a bit more.
I also look at it and go, who else? I imagine who else was putting their hand up desperately to go to North?
Well, that's true. That's true.
You know, Longmire, they sort of said, "Oh, we'll get Longmire."
Yeah,
Longmire
he's not interested.
He said, "Thanks very much, helping me drive up my price at Sydney." And that was kind of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But North, I mean, Rhys Shaw's obviously he's been great for them since he took over.
Yeah.
They've changed their game style a bit and they've won a few games.
Yeah.
But that performance the other night, you go, still got a fair way to go.
Oh, yeah.
To cut it with the big guys.
Yeah.
And Geelong have been pretty ordinary lately.
I think they're just slowly working their way back into, you know, but they're not like they were at the start of the year. Canberra, snow in Canberra.
Now, you were up there, weren't you?
I was. I had a show on Saturday night there.
Yeah.
But so I went on the Friday. So I thought, I'll go up night 4. I haven't been to a game in Canberra before.
No, I've never. Yeah. Manuka Oval, was it? Yeah.
And so I went up the night before to watch it and went along. And people might not have heard, but it was cold.
Well, I was watching it on telly, and you know, if the commentators over and over and over before going, it's tipped to snow tonight. It could snow tonight. Yeah. And it's not gonna snow. That never happens.
But it did. It did. Yeah. I mean, actually, it was interesting. Like, I got up there and I hadn't bought a coat.
Oh, it was dumb.
It was really dumb. So I just hadn't thought about it because, you know, when people say to you, it's going to be cold at the footy, and you go, yeah, but you've been to the footy a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like...
But it does get cold at the footy, even at the G on a decent day.
I know, but there's a difference between like 12 degrees, even with wind,
and minus 5,
and minus 1 degree.
Yeah.
And so I suddenly went and bought a jacket because I thought, this is like dive exposure kind of conditions. Christian O'Connell pointed out to me that my blood is mainly alcohol, so I should be all right.
So that helps. Yeah.
So that was true. But so anyway, I went along and, I mean, everyone knows it was bitterly cold. Like
it was a pretty good crowd there.
Well, that was what I was amazed by. Like it was pretty much full.
Yeah.
They couldn't have fit many more people in. And given it was both raining
and that cold
and very windy, there was a bit where I was standing in this one bit of the sort of.
So you weren't in some plush super box behind glass.
I was moving away around a few. So I did speak at one function. So I moved around a bit.
Yeah.
And there was this one bit where I was outside and I was watching the game, but I was sort of. I had the stand behind me, and I said to someone, "It's not as cold as everyone's making out." Anyway, then I walked a bit into the open bit where the wind was blowing, and I was like, "Oh,
geez, yes, it is."
Cold. So it was like that. And then when the snow started coming, because it was a terrible game, GWS just didn't show up.
There was a whole bunch of teams just didn't show up last weekend.
It was weird. Yeah. And so when the snow started to actually come down, you could see it and everything. The whole crowd was like cheering.
I was just going to ask you.
Everyone came out. Anyone that was in a box,
came out to see.
Came out to stand it, which I thought was hilarious. The minute the snow started coming, it's as cold as it gets. Everyone came out. So everyone came out and watched it, and that was the most entertaining bit of the whole game, actually. Yeah. But then afterwards, I went and had a few drinks, and then by the time I walked home to my hotel in that cold, I was sober.
You couldn't feel anything.
I was totally sober. It was amazing. But they get bigger crowds in Canberra, the Giants, than they do in Western Sydney.
Well, that'd be right. That would absolutely right.
So it's kind of amazing, you know. Like,
well, I was thinking the other night, thinking, Hawthorn got a big following up there, a Hawthorn home game. And I thought, no, it wasn't a Hawthorn home game. They play theirs in Tassie.
Yeah,
probably wasn't all that warm down there either.
A few came because it was Hawthorn.
They'll drag a few through the gates.
But there are quite a few. They play 4 games a year up there, Giants, and they've definitely got a presence up there.
Yeah.
So,
Canberra is arguably Western Sydney.
Well,
it's west of Sydney.
Very Western Sydney. They do say greater. We had a G Post wrote in, Was the Giants' defeat against Hawthorn the greatest humiliation in the snow since the Soviet Union's performance against Finland during the Winter War theatre of World War II?
Gee, Post has introduced a bit of history here.
Yes.
I would argue that the Soviets may have redeemed themselves when the Germans tried to invade them in 1941. They killed 5,000 Germans.
Well, they won the war, the Russians.
They did win the war.
And they also saw off Napoleon in winter too. So never invade Russia in the winter. Never do anything in the winter.
They're good in the cold, the Russians.
They're good. I tell you what, there's a few sides that don't play well in the winter. Melbourne come to mind. Sean read in, will Antarctica get an AFL team before Tasmania? Highly likely at this rate.
Quite possibly.
I think it's anyone... the funny thing is everyone up there who saw me was going, you'll be used to these conditions. Everyone, just every single person. I probably got it like 200 times as I walked around the ground.
It's like when you're up in Queensland, that gets about, 8 million litres of rain a year.
Yeah.
As soon as the rain starts up there, they turn to you and go, oh, you brought the Melbourne weather with you.
No, we don't have tropical
you get
downpours.
10 times as much rain up here than we get in Melbourne.
But they get it all on one afternoon.
Yeah, that's true.
Jared Roughhead's announced his retirement, and it looks like he is going to get a
farewell
game. Because it looked like Clarkson was not going to give it to him.
Well, even just last weekend, Clarkson was implying that, look, if Ruffy starred for the reserves, we might use him in the last round, but...
Is he the least sentimental person you've ever encountered?
Oh, yeah. There's no question. I mean, nobody has got rid of more players than Clarko, and good ones,
Yeah.
All his Mitchell, Lewis and Hodge, all gone.
Yeah.
He is the least sentimental. You wouldn't want to be one of Clarko's kids. I don't reckon. I don't reckon you'd get presents on Christmas Day.
You reckon it's like?
It'd be just another day.
Do you think
in
at
the
like
Clarkson
16
household.
he turfs them out?
Well, I think they're paying board when they're at primary school.
He was running around with his top off in the cold weather up in Canberra. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Just to send a message.
He looked a bit happy with the rig too.
Oh, he was sending a message to his players that if they complain about the cold, that was soft.
Yeah, because he's forbidden the long sleeve jumper.
I know, and someone was telling me up there that that Fagan actually started all that because he also did that down in when he coached the Tasmanian Mariners and various things too, to as a sign of to not show any weakness.
Yeah.
You should not wear long sleeves, which was funny because up there I was chatting briefly to Jimmy Bartell, who no one seemed
most of his career in long sleeves
and seemed to not struggle at
Won
all.
a Brownlow medal, was a champion.
The thing about when you meet Jimmy Bartell is the thing that impresses about you is how good looking he is.
Up close, is he?
Oh, he's a good looking man.
Yeah.
Oh,
you hate blokes like that.
And he seemed quite talented. Nice too, and that just drove me crazy. I hate people that have all that.
Yeah. Good bloke, good looking, talented. All things that we're not.
Yeah, that's right. It's like looking in a reverse mirror.
Get Thor on the
line. So Roughhead's, it's just an end of an era at Hawthorn, but it's kind of, I find most amusing is just the brutality that
and Roughhead's
everything.
2 out of the 3 there. He's a talented player and a terrific bloke. But you couldn't call him good looking.
But also he's been he's also been their captain. The story that he got back to playing footy is amazing. So if you're ever going to be sentimental, this is the time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's never
I'd forgotten about that part of the Roughhead story. I mean, you imagine talk about lack of sentiment from Alistair Clarkson.
Yeah. I bet you if
the bloke survived cancer, but he won't survive my coaching,
I'm giving you nothing.
Yeah, you beat cancer. What more do you want?
I said, well done.
Those cancer survivors have had it too good for too long.
That's something you've said for a very long time. Ben Simmons' visit has gone incredibly well to Melbourne. This this has got it's got ridiculously contentious. Because the one thing, there was a couple of things that came out of his visit to Crown.
Yeah.
So some people are saying, well, he just didn't have ID.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, how hard would it have been to find out Ben Simmons' age?
What? Yeah.
Not that hard. But the thing that I find funny is, one, why did Ben Simmons want to go to Crown Casino?
He did have a bit of an entourage with him. It looked like half a dozen blokes out on the piss on a Friday night or something. Let's go to the casino.
I know, but why would you want to? You're Ben Simmons.
Yeah,
you could ring anywhere in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And say, I'm coming.
Yeah.
And they would have...
And I've got 6 of my mates with me or whatever.
Well, he could have brought 200 of his mates. He's Ben Simmons. Any club's going to, or bar's going to let him in. So how... But also, what I find hilarious about it, this is the weirdest thing about the whole thing. So everyone debated whether there's been a racist backlash to him and all this sort of stuff. But the thing I find the bizarrest is in people trying to justify that this isn't racism, are defending Crown Casino that have one of the worst records just generally on a whole host of things.
I mean, casino, I know quite a few people, including family members, who have seen the ugly side of Crown Casino security up close. And so who knows what the story was at Crown, but I reckon the Ben Simmons thing, it's just kept going from there.
Well, Alan Jones has jumped in.
When Alan Jones is bagging him and telling him to go back to America, look, now Ben Simmons, he pulled out of the Boomers versus American exhibition games. I wouldn't blame him if he suddenly had second thoughts there and said, actually, I will play for the Americans.
Yeah, and I'm not coming back here
I'm
again.
not coming back. I wouldn't, if I was him, I wouldn't bother.
Some of the treatment's been very weird.
Well, he's getting, Alan Jones ripped into him just yesterday, I think, to say, here's a bloke, he's really rich and he's charging kids $200 for a basketball, camp. Well, that's what it costs for a basketball camp. And he didn't sign autographs for every kid who was there. If he had any idea what he was talking about, Jones, he would know that for all these basketball camps, Melbourne United do one, Sydney Kings do one with Andrew Bogut. They say to all the kids beforehand, look, we're not going to be signing autographs. We'll be here all day. We're going to shoot baskets. Yeah. Even at AFL, when they have junior clinics, they say there'll be no photos, there'll be no autographs. Maybe at the end we'll get everyone.
But a few people said he also did some other ones that he did for free as well. Exactly. So it wasn't like he was just doing paid ones. Yeah. He did a bunch of other stuff too. And imagine that, one of the best people in the world at their job. It just seemed like the vitriol towards him once again. Just can't it felt a bit like the Adam Goods booing stuff all over again. I know it's not the exact same thing and slightly different, but I kind of got this feeling like, what, really? They seem to turn on him pretty quick. They did. A lot of people. Yeah. Which I didn't think he did that much wrong. I mean, the fact he said he thought... And also, I love how everyone, I don't know whether he's racially profiled or not, right? Yeah. But I'm a white middle-aged man. I don't get racially profiled except probably positively in any situation. So how would I know? If he says he was, he would have a better inkling
than you.
He'd be recognising this better than I would. Yeah, but everyone else dives in and goes, no, it wasn't. And it's like, you weren't there and you probably don't know what it's like. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's what I love, the certainty of...
I know. So I reckon, some people are going, the Australian, the tall poppy syndrome. But, really, I mean, for everyone who bagged him, there was quite a few who said, look, the basketball camps were fantastic.
Yeah, there's a lot of people sticking up for him. The kids had a ball.
There was somebody on Twitter who said they were a bit confused because it said he'd stormed out of an interview with an AFL superstar and then realised it was Campbell Brown.
Right.
So that sort of contradicted the AFL superstar bit, you would have thought.
Well, and also that endears him to a lot of people.
Well,
too.
Exactly. And Campbell Brown, let's not forget who once King hit an ATM because he couldn't remember his own PIN number. True. In Glenfrey Road, Hawthorn, he was pissed out of his brain, couldn't remember his PIN number, so he belted the ATM.
And does that work? He also belted a teammate.
Yeah.
He got
we saw Campbell Brown the week after.
A few times he's come out too with we need to crack down on crime comments. And I'm like, oh, careful.
Yeah, Brownie.
You'd be in jail. Like,
just settle down,
bit
pal.
of insight, mate.
Yeah.
Chris wrote in, does Ben Simmons have a basketball background? Well done, Chris. Well played.
You were the first cab off the rank there, Chris.
Justin wrote in, does Ben Simmons need to have a chat to Wayne Carey about how to behave when out at night so he can get back on the right track?
Well, as you said just a couple of weeks ago, I think it could be the name of your next book. What would Wayne do? Well, we might rename this podcast, What Would Wayne Do? Because it's a very valid question.
Now, you pointed out one of an incredibly exciting bit of news this week.
Yeah.
Billy Idol is going to play the... I don't know why you pointed this out to me,
not sure
but he's playing the Australian Open on Wednesday, 29th of January. Is this a huge get for the Australian Open?
No, I think you misunderstand. He's not playing his songs. He's actually playing the Australian Open. That's how I read it.
I think you've got this wrong. He's not having a late career as a...
I want to see
tournament.
Billy Idol versus Kyrgios in the first round.
Who can put on the most swagger?
It's a nice day for a white towel, you know.
Are you excited?
I'm not sure. I have no idea why I pointed that out. But I just thought,
he texted it to me. It was like,
but Billy Idol, you know,
Billy Idol,
he's travelling well.
Gee, there is this renaissance of like the nostalgia act, isn't there?
No question. I mean, you know, hunters and collectors are doing the Red Hot Summer Tour.
That's right. They're doing that.
Oh, they do it every 2 or 3 years because it.
Do you think we can convince
make a couple
Billy
$100
to
grand
do the
each?
Australian the AFL Grand Final?
Well, I think he did the NRL Grand Final a couple of years ago, didn't he? And that was when the power cut out.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. He ripped into wasn't White Wedding. It was the other one of his songs. He ripped into
Moni.
that old cover version, and the power cut out completely.
Hot in the City.
And no, it wasn't Hot in the City.
Oh. Racking my brains of Billy Idol songs.
I was just about exhausted the lot. No, there's one other one. But he ripped into it and all the power went out. And to his credit, instead of standing there and hoping it all came back, he just walked off. Bucket this, I'm out of here.
I still think that Meatloaf comes to mind for true train wrecks.
Yeah.
And then some others like NRL AFL Grand Final acts.
Yeah.
They sort of fall into the really great, which is rare.
Yeah.
So I think the Killers sort of did
The Killers were great.
This is the one everyone mentions.
What's that?
Lionel Richie got very good reviews.
What was that rapper who did the NRL?
Macklemore.
Yeah, he was great.
So there's a few that people go, that was there's a bunch I would put in the category of they did well enough that we don't remember them.
Yeah.
Or we,
when Daryl Summers did.
Well, we
Waltzing
remember
Matilda,
that in the white. But like Sting, when he was on, he was just whatever.
Just bland.
He wasn't bad.
Yeah.
He could sing in tune. He tried out some hits. And everyone went, come with the footy start now.
Yeah.
And then there's the weird, like the ones where you just go, like Ellie Goulding. You just go, why does this fit into this? But my favourite in terms of not terrible, like in terms of like Meatloaf, but just probably the most half-assed performance I've ever seen is Slash from Guns N' Roses at the NRL Grand Final when he just got up and played just some of the guitar licks or intros
and
of some Guns N' Roses
a couple of dud-sounding chords.
Yeah.
It sounded to me like...
They didn't even sing the song.
Every 16-year-old who's ever walked into a guitar shop and picks up a Fender. I loved it. Here's the bit. I can play the first 5 seconds of Sweet Child of Mine, but that's about it.
Then I won't play the whole song.
No.
And I won't sing.
No.
And then I'll go and do some
you're right.
and
Slash
some new stuff.
Now, speaking of which, it's only a couple of weeks away from finals. The AFL haven't announced anybody for the grand final yet.
It must be any week now.
I was about to say it'll be pretty quick, pretty soon, you would think.
What year do you reckon the person will come from? They've got to be creeping into the 80s, don't they? Well, they have surprised with some sort of early 2000s, like having the Killers and they had Black Eyed Peas. And
Black Eyed Peas, they were shocking.
Yeah.
And I think the year before they had Bryan Adams, because we haven't heard Summer of '69 enough, So
it really is an insight into AFL executives' music tastes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of it.
And you just knew that last year somebody would have been strutting around at AFL House going, we get criticised for going with nostalgia. Hey, we got the Black Eyed Peas. You can't get hipper than that.
So you're like some hip-hop kids?
Yeah, you youngies, you like that rap stuff? Well, hey, baby, we've got it for you.
Baby. The thing about I've heard is the biggest problem they have is not money, is that a whole host of decent international acts don't want to do daytime.
Yeah.
So, which is one of the reasons they keep pushing for the night.
Well, exactly. I mean,
but that's it. The NRL are hardly killing it, and they're at night.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, people are saying, get the Foo Fighters or get AC/DC. Now, AC/DC will never do it because they will not do any of these things where they cannot play live completely. That's why they didn't do the Sydney Olympics.
Well, I think also they now they've almost all of them have got fairly serious health and various issues.
Yeah, or dead. Which is reasonably serious.
So, Brian's got lazy ears are stuffed. He can't do it.
Yeah. I think they've let him back in the band now because he reckons he'll be right to do a few more gigs. But, it's pretty much, other than Angus Young, it's pretty much just an AC/DC tribute band now.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, that'll all be fun. Let's see who they get for the next one. The Darts World Championships are on. They were in Brisbane over the weekend, I think, and now they're coming to Melbourne. This is another one you added in here. Yeah, well, are you going?
No, I'm not going. I was hoping it was going to be at Marvel Stadium.
No, it's
I wanted to see a riot. I only want to go to the darts to see a punch on.
Did you purely put this in so we could reminisce over the...
Pretty much, yeah.
That was when all the white chairs weren't tied down.
Yeah. And there's those...
And everyone got bored and drunk.
Those white plastic
and Bunnings
piled
them up into huge piles.
A pyramid of those white plastic chairs.
Who would have thought that people would get bored
at
a darts? I don't get the appeal of the darts.
No, I mean, half the reason I don't get the appeal is that they're all really good,
they're
the players.
Amazing.
But just saying triple 20 all the time.
Yeah.
Or, he needs a bullseye. Bang, hits a bullseye. I want to see a bloke miss the board altogether and hit the wall.
But to go see live darts too.
Yeah.
That's kind of amazing.
Now, is there a sport going around where you will just watch that on the big screen, no matter at what venue you're at? Surely there'd be about 6 people there who are close enough to see where the dart actually lands.
Well, it seems that they all get drunk and dressed up.
Yeah.
So it seems to me like the darts are as close to irrelevant as a sporting event can be.
Yeah.
And,
And you're right, they do. The audience do spruce themselves up a bit, don't they?
They'll get dressed in fancy dress and they do all sorts of...
What's the point of that?
Well, because otherwise you're just at a darts competition.
Great, I'll dress as the clown from
Even if you loved darts, right? Even if you absolutely love darts. I don't hate darts, but it's not a sport that is...
It's not a spectator sport.
It's not a spectator sport.
No, it's not.
I just don't... I'll never understand it.
And they're doing it at Melbourne Arena, which holds, 7,000 or 8,000 people?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Did you see that? No.
No.
I didn't.
Pass me that white chair, will you?
Some listeners' questions. Callan wrote in, with the demise of the Southern Huskies from the New Zealand NBL and NBL 1, so they were the Tasmanian side.
Oh, right.
In the sort of second tier. What animal or phenomenon that doesn't exist in Tasmania should the next Tasmanian sports team be called? Because we know this. There's the Southern Huskies.
Yeah.
There's the Hobart Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Now, hurricanes only occur in the northern hemisphere. And
Huskies, they're a Eskimo dog.
Yeah, they're hardly in Tasmania. So they always seem to name all their clubs. Someone said to me that they should name their VFL club when they get one, because there's talk of it. The VFL AFL club, because it's another thing they don't have. Too Long in the Bush wrote in something that really stung me, I have to say. How many clubs that sack their coach mid-season will finish above the Ds?
All of them. Every club that sacked their coach.
I know, but so there's...
What's that, Carlton? North. St Kilda.
3 clubs that have gone so badly their coaches have been sacked.
And they'll still finish higher than Melbourne. That depressed the hell out of me. How many rounds do you think Goodwin can last into next season? Well, I'll tell you what.
How many losses can he start the year with and not get turfed?
Not too
the
many.
pressure's going to be on, and the board.
If they get belted in the first 2 or 3 games, that surely
because the narrative is, which I don't really believe, is they've had injuries and a bad preseason, and it's all just gone a bit off the rails. But they're going to be fine. Long-term process. They're all going to be fine next year. Watching them against the Pies, I see no evidence that there's going to be a turnaround anytime soon because they were incredibly unfit and dawdling. And
lazy. I mean, Paul Roos described it as a lazy performance, and I couldn't agree with him more. There were times, I didn't go to the game, I was watching it on telly, and you see Collingwood cut through the middle, and you'd see at the bottom of your TV screen, there'd be 4 or 5 Melbourne blokes jogging along. Yeah. Not even keeping up with the stoppages or the play. And you're thinking, this is the AFL. This isn't the NAB under 18s. This is the big league. And if you can't be bothered.
Well, I couldn't tell whether they couldn't be bothered because I agree with you. I was looking all the time, which they just weren't running at full speed all the time while their opponents were. I don't know whether it's a lack of mental commitment or they're just incredibly unfit, or both. But
it's a bit of both.
They're getting Goodwin is getting nothing out of them.
No,
there is no reason they should have played as badly as they played. I know they've got a few injuries and all that sort of stuff, but they are just not even putting in effort.
No,
Gawn is.
You get. I mean, again, it's an old football cliche, but you can sometimes accept a defeat if the effort was there.
Yeah.
But when there's no effort, it'd be like if you're an Essendon supporter. I mean, that's how frustrating it would be. But Melbourne may not have lost by 20 goals.
Oh, that's
but
why
they may as well have.
But that's why Essendon fans are rightly so annoyed.
Yeah.
But also, I look at it, Melbourne got Sydney this weekend. That's no sure thing.
It's a danger game
it's
at the best of times.
But it's no sure thing, And then they go down to Tasmania to play North. So, they finished with another couple of losses. This season has been just
absolute
way
disaster.
Below anything you can say. And so the Bourne Goodwin, they better hope it turns around in the early weeks of next year.
I mean, the only plus is that, sure, they'll get a very high draft pick. They may get the number 2 or number 3 draft pick, depending whether Gold Coast get a priority pick or not. But and that's great. But they would want to turn around if they start next season at 0-3 or 0-4. Surely Goodwin will be out the door. He'd have to be.
This is where re-signing him early was just.
That's just got Melbourne written all over it.
It still was bizarre. Sean Wester wrote in, if the Gold Coast Suns and the Gold Coast Titans swap playing list, would anyone be able to tell? He's spot on because the Titans are as bad as the Suns. You can totally swap those two
Somebody
lists,
else on Twitter
no one would notice.
Suggested that the way to solve the Gold Coast Suns problem is to get them to swap codes. I thought, that's actually not a bad idea.
But what code would you swap them to?
Maybe if they don't play football, but they play something else. Does
anyone of them have a basketball background?
Maybe darts might be their code.
I don't know, giving them more priority picks doesn't really make much sense to me either, because it was a bit like when Melbourne kept getting early draft picks.
Yeah.
You're pouring it. It's like pouring water into a bucket with a hole in the bottom of it. It just is pointless.
Well, I think their hope to get an extra pick this year means they can take 1 and 2, which would be those 2 kids who are best mates from Carey in Melbourne.
Right.
At Rowell and Noah Anderson, son of Dean Anderson.
Yeah.
So if they get those 2
and hope to retain
them because they're both best mates.
Can you believe?
Because Ben King, who is starting to show why they took him at number 6 last year, the word is that he's pretty keen to get back to Melbourne sooner rather than later.
No surprise
and play, but he wants to play with his brother at St Kilda.
In America, players get drafted. They go all over the country.
Yeah.
In Australia, the AFL especially, They get drafted. All this talk of I want to play with my brother or my best mates or being in Queensland. You'd think they were being sent to Siberia.
Yeah, as I've said before, they go, I miss my family. I want to go home. Hang on, you're 18 years old. You're living on the Gold Coast and you're getting paid $250 grand a year.
And your parents are nowhere around.
Yeah, I mean, for most 18-year-olds, nothing could be better.
Dream.
That's
the
dream.
As we've said this before. I'd love to know because no one ever says the story of I grew up in Melbourne and I got drafted by the Eagles, and boy, I love getting away from my family.
Exactly.
I didn't have mum bothering me.
Yeah.
Dad wasn't yelling at me.
And Perth, it's
sunny.
It's not like it's an hour's drive.
I just love the let's all. It's like. No one else finishes uni or high school and goes, I want to do that plumbing apprentice, but my best mate's being an electrician. So
I'm really homesick.
No one hires you for a job and goes, now we're really keen to get you to come here, but is there a best friend we could hire as well to kind of get you to
get you over the line?
Make sure you're happy?
Yeah. They're getting no sympathy from me, I've got to say.
Now, we're going to award the best thing.
Who do you reckon?
I'd quite liked Chris's Essendon playing in Perth this weekend just so they can drop Butcher off.
I saw that one earlier. I like that. Yeah.
So well done, Chris. Now, there's a few people I've got to get in touch with from the last few weeks of the podcast. I haven't forgotten you all if you haven't heard from me yet, but I'm going to get all your addresses and send out the books. So don't think I'm ignoring you. I'm probably annoying you, but don't think I'm ignoring you. And I'll get those out to you. And the 25th of August.
Couple of weeks away.
Comics Lounge, 2:00 Sunday.
North Melbourne. Get on to
podcast.
frontiercomedy.com and buy tickets. We'll see you there.
And the link will be in the show notes. So we'll see you next week.